Right, 19 June 2024, and today I've got a very important update regarding what is happening, and there is a lot that is happening in Zimbabwe, and I hope that we'll be able to cover this in detail. There is an important case that is taking place in Zimbabwe right now, and that is revelations that Wicknell Chivayo, working with several high-profile people, has defrauded the Zimbabwe government of over 40 million US dollars. And the Zimbabwe Anti Corruption Commission has now announced overnight that they are not going to be taking any further action on the case of Wicknell Chivayo. So I want to repeat what I just said. The Zimbabwe Anti Corruption Commission overnight has indicated that they are not going to take any further steps on Wicknell Chivayo, Mai Chimombe and Moses Mpofu. This case is the most important case, the most important scandal to ever hit Zimbabwe, because it goes directly to Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa is directly involved in this case. Mnangagwa and senior officials, such as ZACC chairperson Priscilla Chigumba, she's involved in this case. And so Mlobane, Thandiwe Mlobane, she's responsible for investigations at ZACC. She is, so there are many commissioners there at ZACC, and she is responsible for audit and investigations. And she's been making strange statements over the past few days, including the fact that they're not going to investigate. And then Michael Reza came out and said they're going to investigate, but she has came out again overnight and said, since there has been a letter from the lawyers, so there was this letter, the letter from Antonio and Jetero. This letter was written by the lawyers of Mike Chimombe and Moses Mpofu. And he said that since they received this letter, they are not going to be carrying out any investigation, and they are going to await the action of Antonio and Jetero. So the ZACC is now folding their hands. The 6 people that are waiting to interview Chivayo and Mike Chimombe and Moses Mpofu, they are now told to go away. There's not going to be any investigation. And this is crazy. So I want to show you what happened so that you understand, so that you understand the background and why and how deep Mnangagwa is into this whole thing. So I want to show you Mike Chimombe and Moses Mpofu. So these are the 2 guys that revealed this detail of what has happened. So Mike Chimombe and Moses Mpofu, Scott Sakupanya and Wicknell Chivayo. Then you've got Chigumba, Priscilla Chigumba. These are the people that were directly involved in this matter. So a meeting was held in South Africa between Mike Chimombe, Moses Mpofu, Priscilla Chigumba, and a company called ren-form. So I'm going to post these letters for you on Gambakwe.com, but let me show you the letter so that you understand what's happening. So this letter, I want to show you the letter. It's going to be on Gambakwe in a few minutes after I finish this. So this is the letter that I'm talking about here. So this letter contains all the detail. And this letter was written by Mike Chimombe and Moses Mpofu. And what this letter alleges is that an agreement was reached between a company called Better Brand, which belongs to Scott Sakupanya, and the company called ren-form, which is in Selby in Johannesburg. So you can see the letter here, and this has been widely circulated all over Zimbabwe. So it's not a new letter that I'm displaying for you. After the meeting was held, then Wicknell Chivayo went behind the back of everybody, and then he went and started a new deal with ren-form, whereby the money, instead of being paid into Scott Sakupanya's bank account, was now going to be paid into the bank account of his company. So this is what happened. So the money was then paid into Wicknell Chivayo's Intratech bank account. All the details are here. And the meeting that was held, which has got pictures, so you're going to see these pictures eventually, was held with Chigumba present. So Chigumba was present in the meeting in South Africa. So let me read for you the relevant section. We have attached the contract for your reference. This was done after a meeting between Moses Mpofu, Wicknell Chivayo, and the ZACC chairperson, Honorable Chigumba, held at your premises in Johannesburg on the 2nd of February 2023. We attached the photos taken on that particular meeting day. So Chigumba has got evidence against her. After we signed the contract under Better Brands, you conspired with one of our partners in the project, Mr. Wicknell Chivayo, and unilaterally changed the contract to his company, Intratech. And there are so many allegations here of what has happened. But what makes this worse is that the money that was paid here, that is in this letter, is 8 million, which means there's another 32 million, which is unaccounted for. There's another 32 million, which went to other people. And in this letter, they clearly say where that money went. The money went to Mnangagwa and it went to his family. So let me show you what he says here. We are aware that as soon as funds were received in your standard bank account number at Southdale branch, you immediately transferred more than 6% of the money received to Wicknell Chivayo's Intratech bank accounts. This is clear evidence of your participation in money laundering, where you are overcharging the Zimbabwe government and sending overcharged amounts to individuals. This is in violation of South African laws and international laws. Please be advised that most of the individuals involved in this money laundering are on the US Office of Foreign Affairs OFAC sanctions list. Do you know who in Zimbabwe is the only person in the sanctions list? In fact, there are two people that are on the sanctions list. That is Mnangagwa Auxilia right now, and probably Tagure and the people that work with him. So in this letter, they clearly lay out that the money that are inflated are then taken and they're given to Mnangagwa, and that is where the problem is. That is why you see this case not moving. The accusation by Mai Chimombe and Moses Mpofu is that the money is being given to Mnangagwa, and this money is being given through the back door to Mnangagwa, because they only mention here 8 million. So the money in question that they mentioned is 8 million. There's another 32 million or so that is going somewhere. And when you eventually find out where that money is going, that is where the problem is. That is why ZACC cannot move on Chivayo. And that is why Thandiwe Mlobane is being evasive. She's being evasive because she knows she's going to be dealing with a hot potato. The only person that can deal with this matter is the army. The military are the only people that can deal with this matter because it involves Mnangagwa, or an external body like Interpol. Those are the people that can deal with this matter. But whatever the outcome of this investigation, or whatever investigation is going to take place, a lot of high-level people are going to be arrested. So eventually, not now, but in the future, you're going to see Kuti. There are people that are going to be arrested over this matter. And this includes Chigumba. Chigumba is going to be arrested because she was physically present in the meeting in Johannesburg. So she left her office and went to a supplier's office and made a transaction while physically present at the premises of a supplier. That is crazy. You've never had a commission chairperson doing that, what Chigumba has done. And obviously, with the people that are named in the audios, I've shared with you the audios yesterday, where Chivayo clearly states what happened to the first small amount of 1 million. They wanted this money for Christmas. This is money that they needed to travel around Zimbabwe, just to go on holiday, to pay for their hotel bills. That is the 1 million. And that went to the Standard Bank account of Intratech instead of going to the FNB account of Better Brands. And these movements of monies are obviously getting the attention of the South African Reserve Bank. And my belief is that some of this money has been frozen. That is my belief, that some of this money has been frozen, but this is not my interest. I'm not interested in what money has been frozen. what I can tell you is that we currently have a very serious issue involving the head of state. And you can see here, this was on the 31st of March. This dispute had already started. So the dispute between Chivayo, Mike Chimombe, and Moses Mpofu had already started when this 1 million was donated. This means all that money that we're seeing being donated, my 1 million, my 200,000, that's nothing, because these guys had already received this money and they were splashing it. And you can see Mnangagwa there with Wicknell Chivayo. You can also see that they started a milling company here. So this milling company was opened, and you can see Machakaire there. You see Scott Sapanya there. You see Wicknell Chivayo on the left there. This is when Wicknell Chivayo started wearing the strange suit after he got that money. And you can see these guys are very tight together. They move around everywhere together, but everything is happening within the circle of Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa is very close to these guys. There's nothing that happens where Mnangagwa is not involved with these guys. And remember what I told you, that Mnangagwa had a cash flow issue. I mentioned that Mnangagwa had a cash flow issue. So this is probably linked to this. I suspect that the frozen funds are part of the issues. And that is why you see Wicknell now having to travel all over the place, to places like South Korea, with Mnangagwa. Probably, if you check over there, they probably opened a bank account or deposited some money or sold something. The movements with Wicknell and Mnangagwa became desperate. There were desperate movements, and this happened in broad daylight. There was no way to hide. And the military is not happy with what has happened. You saw yesterday what happened. My belief is that there is a lot happening behind the scenes. And there is also a lot of actions that are going to take place going forward. It's not going to end here. This group of people that we have, they are now very vulnerable. Mnangagwa is most vulnerable right now in terms of he cannot have access to cash. You know, the president's salary is very low. He cannot have access to cash. There's a lot of attention on what he does. And the activities of Wicknell Chivayo have stopped. They have told Chivayo to go somewhere, but eventually Chivayo is going to be arrested. Because remember, when you violate money laundering is international. So you can be arrested in any country and your assets will be frozen in any country, which means right now, any asset that belongs to Chivayo can be frozen. Any asset that belongs to Scott Kalpanya can be frozen. Any asset that belongs to Mnangagwa can be frozen. These guys have been involved in money laundering. And if you look at Chigumba, Priscilla Chigumba is going to be in a lot of trouble because she physically traveled to Johannesburg and attended a meeting with the supplier. She's not a procurement board or a procurement committee. There are procurement processes on ballot paper printing. This is actually illegal activities that they performed here. When you deal with procurement of electoral materials, there are certain procedures you have to follow. And it doesn't mean the chairperson of ZACC can now travel to the country and meet a foreign company on foreign soil. So these are some of the problems that you saw with the elections. That election is not valid because what else could they have done when they're over there? Could they have made a deal for certain ballot papers, marked ballot papers to be printed? There are so many possibilities of what could have happened when the chairperson of the ZACC is moving around suppliers. It's serious conflict of interest, and it's something that will require her to step down if it was in a normal country. However, let's see what happens. Like I said, I only believe that the only people that can deal with this matter with Mnangagwa is the military guys. No one else is capable. The ZACC guys are totally not capacitated to do anything. They will not be able to do anything. Marco Reza can't do anything. Mlobane can't do anything. These guys can't issue a statement. They can't even issue a statement because of how deep Mnangagwa is in this case, including heads of state security agencies. But I'm not saying the other guys are clean. Mai Chimombe and Moses Mpofu are not clean. Everyone here, and that's Scott Sapanya, the whole crew does not deserve to be anywhere near ballot paper printing. They don't have experience in ballot paper printing. These guys are small time, what can I call hustlers, people that are only known for selling maybe a car here, selling some cell phones there. That is what they were doing before they went to this thing, importing some cell phones from Dubai and selling them in Harare, or buying goats here and selling them over there. These guys are not capable of a contract worth 40 million. And the lack of transparency here is crazy. So what you're seeing is a total disaster in terms of the election. The 2023 election is not a valid election. Based on just this, what has happened here, the ballots were printed by the wrong people, and the approach taken in the printing of the ballot paper shows you how compromised Priscilla Jugumba is. She is a very compromised person, and she deserves to be in jail. That is Priscilla Jugumba. Before I talk about ZACC, ZACC needs to be dissolved. You've got a total collapse of systems under Mnangagwa. And if you go to other places like the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, if you go to the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission, all these places I've been telling you about, everything here is not working. And our country is being run like a little banana republic. That is basically what is happening over here. So I think that was a headline. Let's now quickly go through the news. I want to take you through the news. So I'm going to post that letter for you. You're going to see that letter very, very soon, within the next 30 minutes, if you haven't seen it. I'm also going to post for you the proof of movement of funds, but I don't think that is actually important. The funds were moved. The letter states how much money was moved. And the money came from the Ministry of Finance, where Mnangagwa is a deputy minister. So the syndicate is running through government all the way to state-owned enterprises. And as I said, the only people that can stop this is the military guys. Zimbabwe right now is at a point where there is no opposition. So no one in the opposition parties has mentioned this case. Like, honestly, in a normal country, there will be an uproar over this. But right now, it's silence. There's no one who's talking about it. And no one has even gone to court to force these people to do anything. These are issues that can easily be taken to court. And the people are not doing it because they know the courts are captured. The corruption is around the whole country. And this is what we need to address. It needs to be addressed holistically with a fresh election. So the only way to address this is a fresh election and Mnangagwa stepping down. Mnangagwa is directly involved because he's walking around with Wicknell Chivayo, and you cannot allow it. You cannot allow a situation where the president is implicated in such a matter. You remember what I said when Mnangagwa was walking around the Scots of crime, and I was saying it makes no sense for the president of a country to move around with someone who's implicated in crimes. So this is even worse because now we've got documentary evidence of the whole thing, and the pictures are going to come out, and eventually you're going to see a document that shows how Mnangagwa was paid. You remember what I said to you? You're going to see a document that shows payment to Mnangagwa because people lost money here and people are desperate. So they're going to start revealing documents wanting that money to come out. And if that money has been frozen, a lot of people have made losses. They had planned on that money and they can't use it. So let's look at the news. What is in the news? There's a lot of news happening in South Africa. Today, there is the inauguration of the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, and there is a coalition of many political parties, including the DA and the ANC. However, already cracks are starting to show in the coalition. There's going to be a lot of fighting between the DA and the ANC. Those two parties cannot work together. And I predict a total collapse of the coalition before the end of this year. There's no way that the ANC and the DA can work together. The ANC cannot run government in terms of departments. Government departments run by the ANC are not doing well. And so you're going to have departments run by the DA doing well and departments run by the ANC not doing well. And this is going to expose the ANC very, very badly. They're also not going to be able to deploy their cadres. And so it's going to be an interesting matrix. You'll be surprised to see what happens, especially if the DA gets finance-related ministries. the ANC will fail to get money, will fail to have access to money, and it will be very difficult. They won't be able to get tenders, and that is something that has become a big, big issue in South Africa. Then obviously Mnangagwa arrived in South Africa. He was met by some junior officials. The South African government did not deploy any senior officials to meet him. If you look at who they deployed to meet, let's say the president of Mauritius, they put the Minister of Foreign Affairs there. But with Mnangagwa, it was some junior officials. So this was the president of Mauritius here arriving, and they sent the whole Minister of Foreign Affairs. But with Mnangagwa, they only sent some deputy ministers to meet him. No one takes Mnangagwa seriously in Southern Africa, especially given the fact that Mnangagwa is facing allegations of vote rigging. He's going to be, there's a lot of spotlight on Mnangagwa over vote rigging. And as I said, this is the coalition here. The coalition has got the ANC, the DA, the IFP, the Good Patriotic Alliance, and the PAC. But the DA is already throwing their muscles and weight around. They're telling the ANC that they cannot make unilateral decision. So if you're watching the news yesterday, you saw that Helen Zille, she clearly said the ANC is not in charge. They must not behave as if they're in charge of what is happening, because this is a signed agreement with conditions. So you're going to see very interesting action because the DA is not going to follow whatever the ANC say. Then we've got Julius Malema. So I want to go into Julius Malema. But before I go into Julius Malema, I think let me go into some very interesting entertainment news here. What has happened in Zimbabwe is very interesting. And this is in the H Metro newspaper. So if you go to the H Metro newspaper today, there is a detective, member of the CIO, and he's called Forichi Ngorima. So Forichi Ngorima is a member of the CIO and is also working for the Civil Aviation Authority of Zimbabwe based in Mutare. So a young lady, Amanda Chiedza Chimuka, has gone to court after she was promised marriage by Forichi, and Forichi was pretending to be single. However, he had a family in Chiredzi, was already married. He drives flashy cars, so she says, and he pretends that he wants to marry a lot of girls. Drives around in flashy cars and stays in a hotel. But he's actually lying, and she ended up paying him $3,000, which he took and went away with. And I guess this is what we call a love scam, because he is obviously someone who knows how to deal with women. A lot of women have fallen for his tricks. He even called some of her relatives and his relatives to an engagement party after barely 6 months and pretended that he was going to marry her. After that, after he got the money, he disappeared and was starting to blue tick her. She could not find him anymore. And I guess that's how he managed to stay in the hotels, using the money from different girls. So she alleges that there are many girls who have fallen for Forichi Ngorima's tricks. And this is in the H Metro newspaper. You can go and check it out over there. A lot of these scams are taking place. Women are desperate for marriage, I guess. Like, honestly, I don't know why you would want to get married in this day and age to someone that you only met for 6 months. Like, if you see someone for 6 months, you barely know that person. And why would you want to get married to someone you met for 6 months? Like, if you want to get married to someone, you better know them for a year or two. You should know their village. You should know everything about them. You shouldn't be surprised about what they do. But I guess if someone says they're CIO, it means they'll tell you, don't check this, don't check that. But this is a typical case of women falling for tricks. And this has been happening a lot, especially women who want to get married. I guess something has to be done. Maybe someone must start a transparent and vetted dating site in Zimbabwe, which can help these young ladies to get a proper husband. Then, as I was saying, in South Africa, what has happened is that yesterday, Julius Malema has appeared in court, in the East London courts, magistrates' court. Julius Malema is facing charges of discharging a firearm, which arose from an incident in 2018 when he was at a public gathering. And his bodyguard handed him a weapon. His bodyguard, Adrian Snyman, handed him a weapon, which he fired. So he was taken to court, and yesterday there was a witness testimony by Martin Hood, who is a firearms expert and a lawyer. Martin Hood says there is no law in South Africa which prevents someone who does not have a license from holding, storing, or keeping a firearm on behalf of someone else. So that is the case here, which Julius Malema is facing, of handling a firearm without a license, and his bodyguard is also being facing the same charges of handing a firearm to Julius Malema, and Julius Malema then fired the firearm. And the case is that Julius Malema should go to jail because he fired the firearm when he doesn't have a license for it. So this is a very important case that is taking place in South Africa. This was yesterday. It's going to continue today in the East London Magistrates Court in the Eastern Cape. So that is something we'll be following very, very closely. And obviously, I want to check the newspapers. Let's see what is happening in the newspapers. As I said, Mnangagwa is in South Africa. We're going to be watching very closely what Mnangagwa does. Mnangagwa is in a very weak position, but the focus for Zimbabweans should be on SADC. So everything else is not important. The most important thing right now is SADC. Watch what Mnangagwa does with SADC. Mnangagwa is not supposed to be the chairperson of SADC, and Zimbabweans should stop it. Should make sure that that does not happen. SADC should be heavily lobbied to stop Mnangagwa from becoming chairperson of SADC. And we must make sure that there is a fresh election in Zimbabwe. So that is a very, very key outcome of what is required. Everything has collapsed in Zimbabwe. Nothing is moving. And we cannot continue for the next 5 years waiting for Mnangagwa to go. So you can see, Kuti, there is convergence. Kuti, the current situation cannot continue. And that is the way it should be. So I'm not going to read anything from the Herald. You can go to the website. There is drama in the war veterans. You can go and check it out. And there's also obviously a lot happening on the roads. A lot of people are dying on the roads. Only the past 2 days, we've had more than 20 people dying on the roads. Multiple accidents involving 4 or 5 deaths in one case. So these past 3 days has been the worst 3 days, with many people dying. So I think, check it out. Something terrible happening with the roads. The roads are not proper, especially in Harare. When I drive in Harare, I feel it's a danger, especially at night. There's no lighting, there are no road markings, including on the new roads. The new roads are not marked. I don't know why it's so difficult to mark roads in Harare. And most of the people that drive in Zimbabwe probably have licenses that are not properly acquired. So corruption is also resulting in the end or death of many, many people. So let's look at the comments and close this quickly. Then Mkomachana said, number one is still digging deep his mass grave and his accomplices. Soon they're going to be history. Yes, post-Mnangagwa era has arrived. You remember what I told you, that everything is going to happen in public. The removal of Mnangagwa is going to be sudden and quick. You're going to see one day you're going to wake up and everything would have changed because of these kind of things. The corruption allegations around ED, especially around this case, they are very, very serious. These are very serious allegations. And if you see Chigumba in office forever, then you must know that maybe Mnangagwa has got some other thing that he knows, or some other way of protecting himself. But this is obviously serious. Head of CIO, head of ZACC, head of Mnangagwa's office, Ushuaia named in there, and even Auxilia Mnangagwa named in there. So these are serious, serious matters. Then John Doe Waburitsa Mavoice Chivayo. You think it's John Doe? Yes, it's possible that is John Doe who did remember when Mnangagwa was playing 10 back, I told you that this Mnangagwa angered somebody, someone very, very strong. So these are the things that you're seeing, but now we're seeing the culmination. When I talk of culmination, I'm talking about whoever moves first is going to win. Whoever moves last is going to lose. This is like a gunfight in the Wild Wild West. This is what is happening to Mnangagwa. And it's no longer about politics. This is the end game. What you're seeing here is the end game. What we should not allow is a deterioration, because what is going to happen here is, if this is allowed to play out, there will be a deterioration. So someone has to intervene. Someone from outside has to intervene. This cannot be allowed to continue unchecked. And then Mgoma's statement said, I remember, 2000, ED, Bachikava Mabodo, Enyama Mukwekwe, Bajiwa, my election, Chihavada no nickname Ziva. Right, I guess, guys, this is very, very clear. This is about the whole governance system in Zimbabwe. There's collapse of the governance system in Zimbabwe. Wicknell Chivayo has never been a business person. You can clearly see that now. The penalty against the ZACC in December, where they got 26 million on top of the 5 million that they already got. And then this tender in February 2023, it means already they didn't have money. You see, between February 2023 and January 2024, these guys had gotten the money and they ran out of it. 40 million is nothing to Mnangagwa. His family is big. If Mnangagwa, you give him 40 million today, and he gives one child 1 million, by the end of the week, they will have no money. So it's going to be very difficult for Mnangagwa, especially from a financial point of view. These guys are going to struggle very, very badly. And I suspect that most of their funds, they don't have access to their funds. That is why they have to resort to these extremely obvious, problematic contracts and tenders. These are embarrassing tenders that these guys are involved in, and it will never work. So let's see someone talking about the volume here. Farah is saying, put your volume up, Mr. Gambakwe. Yes, I'll try to put my volume up, but I do have a mic. So maybe you should check your mic because I normally watch myself after this and I don't see any problems. So check your mic if it's up or not, but I'll also check mine. So guys, I'm gonna end here today. I'm gonna end this here. So let's see, maybe we need to fix the volume. I'm gonna end here today, and then I'll be back here in the evening for the ZACC protest updates. We have a very important 2 months to go. And these 2 months, it's all about the ZACC protest. We are looking forward to a fresh election, end of August. This is where we should be. Do not focus on anything else. Being arrested is not a badge of honor. Don't get arrested. Don't go and confront ZANU-PF or police. That is not where the game is. The game is in the fresh elections. And don't try to be popular in the last moment. So I know what people think, that if you're arrested, you get international attention. Don't get international attention. Let's get fresh elections. And right now, there is a strong case. Do proper lobbying at ZACC. Make sure that you get fresh elections. The old game of being arrested and then going to court, and then after that coming out and nothing happens. That is not where the game is. Let's act in a way that will get our people into office. And right now, the stakeholder is Nelson Chamisa, as I said, and I say that every day. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I'll see you again in the evening. A good day to you all. You can check out the Mai Chimombe letter within the next few minutes. I'll upload it, and so that you can understand what is happening. What exactly is the case between Mnangagwa, Mai Chimombe, and Moses Mpofu. Thank you very much, everyone, and a good day.